Why don't we receive some live questions from the audience? Wow. What's that?
This person has even put up his email address.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hi, my name is Yoon-gi-young. I'm from Yonsei University. What was the most difficult thing in your career? And how did you overcome it?
The most insecure?
Most difficult?
Most difficult.
Yeah.
When I was at Sun, I was at Sun for 14 years, and I was approached to become the CEO of Novell. And Novell was a very famous company that did networking, which is something I care a lot about technically. And when I got to Novell, I discovered that there were financial issues and difficulties inside the company that I was not aware of. It was a true startup. And I remember this moment about 2 months into it, and I brought one friend with me from Sun, whose name was Raymond. And I looked at Raymond and I said, Raymond, all we want to do is get out of here with our reputations intact legally, because I was so worried about what I had found. But we didn't panic, and we sat down and we figured out a way to get Novell to do pretty well. And indeed, Novell did pretty well for a while. But when you find yourself stuck and there's no way out, that's a terrible feeling. And hopefully a great leader, and hopefully you'll be a great future leader, when you find yourself in that situation, rather than screaming and panicking, right, which is what you want to do, you'll sit down and basically go and write down what it's going to take to actually do it.
Hi, Eric. My question can be a little bit personal, and when you should make really important decision and you cannot do it easily, what do you do to organize your thoughts? Like jogging or playing with your dog, like that?
No, that's a very good question. And by the way, I want you to notice that she read from her phone where she had written her notes. That's the future. Right, that is literally, she represents the future, which I think is great. There are many decisions that are very difficult. When you find yourself in that situation, talk to your friends and take the time to think about it. There is a myth in society of the lone brilliant decision maker. You tell me, you tell me, you tell me, I go home, I come back tomorrow morning, and I announce the right decision. This never produces the best decisions. The best decisions are collaborative, involving a constant iteration of conversation. So if you're not sure what to do, stop, talk to your friends, and come to a consensus of what you should do. And do it by arguing, saying, well, what if? If I do this, how will I feel? What will happen here? Think about the consequences. It's always true. There's lots and lots and lots of literature in psychology that better decisions are made by groups under pressure than individuals under the same pressure.
So do you have a lot of close friends who can share your worries?
Yeah, in Google's case, Larry and Sergey and I have worked together for 11 years, and we've agreed to work together for many more decades. And when there are really difficult questions, we have that kind of a conversation and see if we come to an agreement. There's a fellow named Bill Campbell who has served as my mentor and coach for many years. And he's a brilliant man. And if I am confused, I've learned to always start by asking him a question. What do you think? What's your reaction? So you need these people. And if it's not somebody like that, it's someone who's a religious friend, a pastor or what have you, or somebody in your family, or a parent, or what have you. But you need to talk to people to make the best decisions.
Gray shirt with stripe? Yeah.
My name is Jo Byung-woo from Yonsei University. I'm majoring in computer science. I think you are very busy because you're a chief of your company. But what do you do to be a good father? And as an executive of your company, I think it's very hard to be a good father and executive So I want to be like you. I'm one of the students who want to be like you, and I want to be a good father at the same time. Yeah.
So by
That's
the way,
my question.
do you have any children now?
No. But I will have children, sure.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So first place, we have a very eligible man here in the audience. And all I can tell you is that the delight of having a family, I have 2 daughters who are grown now, and my elder daughter has a child, is married and has a child. It's one of the greatest things in life. So I can assure you that when the right, in your case, woman comes along and you get married and you have a family, you'll find a way to get both done. And before that, I would suggest that you work really hard, because after you have kids, you'll have less time to do all of the computer science that you need to, because the baby will wake you up in the middle of the night. Children are wonderful. I think that they're a blessing. And my sense is that even if you're asking this question now, you will be a great father.
Thank you so much.
My name is David. I'm a student actually at Chico State. Maybe you know this.
Yes, of course.
And I'm curious, for those of us who want to start our own businesses, how valuable do you think it is if we go into the corporate world for a few years prior to get this experience? Or do you feel it's best to shoot right out the door of college?
I think a lot of it depends on the situation. There are plenty of people who have done both paths. It's very important if you go into the existing corporate world and you want to be an entrepreneur that you do it for a short period of time, not for 20 years. Because when you leave from the university, your knowledge is so current. So my advice would be you sort of score choice A and choice B, and you look at, here's a job where I can learn a lot working within this good corporation, versus here's something where I can do my own thing. Most people end up choosing the corporation because they ultimately decide, after appropriate discussion and review, that they still have a lot to learn. But there's some people who are so convinced that they're right that they go right out of college, and I think that's great.
Thank you.
You, with glasses, eyeglasses? Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Schmidt. I'm Hyun-jin, and I am a major in the International Relations Department at Wonju campus, Yonsei University. I took an hour and a half flight to meet you.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I like to.
And what city is your?
Wonju, located in
Wonju?
Gangwon Province, and Yonsei University has a 3 campus in Wonju, Sincheon here, and Songdo. And I'm a Wonju campus student.
Good.
And I'd like to hear your thoughts about the reality of Korean young generation happening these days. Most of the young generations here in South Korea are doing their own work to study their English and trying to achieve their goal to be entering their own company. But these days, South Korean young generation are having a difficulty to enter their own company who want to be achieve their goal. But so I want to hear your thought. Could you give us any advice for having a difficulty when young generation having a difficulty entering their own companies? And what was your mentor of your own individual mind? And what mentor gave you an advice trying to be a very successful entrepreneur? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. What I would say first and foremost is that 20 years ago and 30 years ago, it was not any easier in your chair. 20 years ago and 30 years ago, you had all the same issues, but you did not have the internet, you did not have the globalization we had today, and Korea was not as advanced as it is today. So although it feels hard, it was also hard before, in just different ways. That'd be my first point. For me, I was lucky that I had faculty members who believed in me and who I talked to and I listened to. So I cannot overstate the importance of a teacher and a student relationship in terms of their ability to be a mentor, to deal with my visions of what I cared about, and encouragement from the universities that I went to. And I think it's great that you have that in your city as well as here, obviously. So my general advice would be, if you're in international relations, you understand how the world really works. So when you graduate, you're going to need to get some real world experience somewhere, right, in international relations, and then you'll know how you should proceed. You won't know today. It's too complicated.
All right. I don't know if it's proper question at this moment, but I was told that some people call you technology optimist.
Yes.
You know, that's because you've emphasized the brighter side of technology and internet. So, but there still are a lot of darker side of it. So, what do you think? Why do you always, not always, but mostly emphasize on the brighter side of it? And
well, you know, when we built the internet, we did not build it with the notion that there would be criminals on it. They were not invited. We only invited legal people onto the internet. But somehow the internet is available to bad people too. And in fact, when we first built the internet, we didn't have logins, we didn't have security, didn't have identity. You could be anything. In one of my programs when I was at Berkeley, I wrote a command which allowed you to become anyone else.
oh,
Just for fun. It made perfect sense to me at the time. Today you would never do that. So as the internet went from something very specialized to the whole population, we shouldn't be surprised that you see all of the world's good and bad on it. There are good people and bad people, but I can tell you, having traveled all over the world, that the vast majority of people in the world are honest, want better things for their family, for their culture, for their country. They believe in their system, they believe in the future, and that's what we should focus on. What happens in the internet, and in particular in the media, is there's always an attention on the particular bad thing, which I understand, but the fact of the matter is the overwhelming uses of these things are good. And I think we should view that. It's the same as with telephones. Did you know that criminals use the telephone to talk to each other and plot crimes? I think we should take the telephones away from those criminals. Make sense?
yeah.
So when I look at the impact of getting everybody connected, and the hive of information and this optimism, I think it's very good. I really do, for the world. Go ahead.
All right. I think we should cut the questions. So, yeah. Black shirt? Yeah.
Hi, my question is, what technology will Google be focusing on 10 years later? Do you picture anything?
10 years from now?
Yes.
We have trouble thinking about the next 5 years. Maybe I could answer by saying what I think will be true 10 years from now. Many of the things that you have in Korea now will be true in many other countries. So many countries will have the kind of broadband that you have and very high mobile penetration. One of the most exciting things that's going to happen is that in the next 5 years, most of the rest of the world that has feature phones will develop low-end smartphones. So all of a sudden, we'll have 5 or 6 billion people with web browsers. Now, they won't be as powerful as the phones you have today, I don't think, but they'll be good enough. So we'll hear from them in their language, with their creativity, and maybe there'll be wonderful companies formed in their countries that are just as successful as the ones here in Korea, and I think that's wonderful. So with respect to technology, the biggest change is going to be that technology disappears. In other words, it just is seamless. When you wake up in the morning, you look and somebody tells you, the screen turns on and it says what's happening in the world that you care about, and then you can decide if you want to go back to sleep or if you have to get up. You will, of course, get into a driverless car, because it's much safer to let the car drive you than you drive the car. And you'll go to work where you'll be connected by screens and by information, and the computers will help you decide what you should do today in your work, for entertainment, what your friends are doing, and so forth. There will be massive new companies that do this. There'll be global companies that are in the information age. And I certainly hope Google will be one of the key platform companies doing that.
You?
Is that a new Korean dance? No, I understand Korean dance is a particularly sophisticated form. Oh, that's a bow.
Bow,
Okay,
yeah.
I got it.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. Mine is about translation. Yeah, this is a 1998 version of Google and Naver.
Yeah.
One is Korean, one is American. Well, the thing is, one is in English, which is a wide language, and one is in Korean. So I was curious about, I'm running a manuscript translation startup right now, and right now I'm compiling Korean language and instructing English to you. And my question is about language translation. Recently, how does Google think of translating industry, and what are your plans, actually? Because I found out that Google Translation is getting better and better, and I would like to know, what does this mean to you? Thank you.
Well, if you're doing a translation startup, it's important that you stay ahead of us. Right. So that would be the first advice. Let me explain how the translation works. And this to me is magic. This was technology invented after I was in school, and it's an example of what scientists can do. If you take Korean and you take English, you can look at the use, proper translation, and you compare the two. And a computer can make mathematical equivalences between the Korean and the text. With enough English and enough Korean properly translated, the computer, when you give it another phrase, can do a very good job of translation using something called statistical machine translation. It does not understand the language. That's the important thing. It's doing it syntactically. It's going from language to language. I believe Google is the technical leader in the world in this right now. We hired a research scientist who built a team to do this, and that's what we're going to continue. And our goal is to be able to translate 100 languages into 100 languages. At the same time, we also want to add voice recognition and speaking. So in theory, you'd pick up the phone, right? I know that's a rare event now, but you would pick up the phone and speak into it in Korean, and it would come out in English on the other side. And the way that works is your Korean is put into text. The text is sent to a supercomputer in the cloud. The supercomputer does the statistical machine translation. It's sent to the other phone, and when it gets to the phone, it's turned into voice. This is magic to me.
It's a 100 matrix, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
We like matrices.
So thank you so much for your participation, students. So before you go, Dr. Schmidt, do you have any last words for these students?
You know, it was interesting. One person, it's Mrs. Kim, talked about yes. What I would like people to appreciate is that yes is a very powerful word. Try to say yes to things. Try to say yes to a new opportunity that comes along. Just try it. Don't just sit there and wait. Keep trying it. Yes is how you get your next job. It's how you get your spouse. It's how you get your promotion. It's how you get kids, and on and on and on. Yes is a very, very powerful way to live your life. And if you do it with people who are like-minded, you will have a tremendous life, and you'll have a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.